Welcome back to A Good Pour. Today we are here with Andrew Finney, who is a staple of the Gallatin community and has a long history of business here. He now serves as a chairman for C12, a Middle Tennessee Christian peer advisory and business organization. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks.
How are
Thanks,
you
Kathryn.
today?
You're better than I deserve.
Why do you answer it that way?
I'm a Dave Ramsey fan, and years ago I heard him say that, and I thought, boy, that's true. For me as a person of faith, it can open gospel conversations, but it truly is. I could be a lot worse off, and I'm thankful. So I just adopted it.
So we talked on the phone, I don't know, a few months ago, and I said, how are you? And you answered that way. And I immediately thought of Dave Ramsey. Because I just remember long car rides where my husband would play Dave Ramsey podcast over and over again. And someone would say,
good. Yeah, they're entertaining too.
Well, but you're right. It does open it up for conversation.
Yeah.
So you are just busy, have been for the last 2 decades. So tell us a little bit about what you've done, what you're doing today.
Sure. Yeah, today. So I have several things that I do for income, but also for vocation and calling. And so what I'm doing primarily now is serving as a chairman for the C12 Group, Middle Tennessee. This is it's the largest Christian peer advisory and business coaching organization in the country. And so the Middle Tennessee franchise is comprised of now 9. We just brought on our 9th chairperson down in Williamson County. Okay. So we cover Cookeville all the way over to Clarksville, and then the northern and southern border of the state. So that's our franchise area. And what we do is help equip Christian CEOs and owners to build great businesses for a greater purpose.
Love that. Love it. So what did you do before this?
So I'm a pharmacist by trade. Believe it or not, I still have my license. It was a means, it was an on-ramp for me into a small business. I have a heart for small business and love operations, finance, leadership, culture development, all those things that come along with it. But what I found more was this insatiable desire for entrepreneurship and building things that are greater and longer lasting than any person, and bringing lots of wonderful people along the way. And, things many times in business don't go the way that you anticipate or hope. And so for 15 years, I was the owner, for 10 of those years, I was owner and CEO of Perkins Drugs and Gift Shop here in Gallatin. And so my vision and desire and goal for that was to have a small chain of Perkins drug stores in the Middle Tennessee area, mostly focused in Sumner County. And the market changed, and I had a business coach. I had an executive coach for about 10 years, so I was a part of peer advisory and business coaching. I was a recipient of it, and it was very valuable for me. But what it also helped me be was objective. So when the tides had changed, especially towards the end of 2018 into 19, we had launched our second of what was going to be 5 to 6 locations. And it was going well, but the industry changed dramatically, and so it prompted me to look at an exit to be able to retire the debt on those businesses. And looking in the rearview mirror, it was the right decision, although it was an extremely challenging decision. And I love this community, which is why I'm still serving it in a different capacity.
Yeah. I think it was a little heartbreaking for our community in a lot of ways. Yeah. But you now own that that's the center or the buildings that Perkins was in over. It has Cave, right?
So we flank both sides of Gallatin, right? So on the east side of Gallatin in the original store, right. Actually the original store was on the square in Gallatin.
Oh, really?
In 1895.
Okay.
So I was a 125-year-old business in 2020, and so on the east side of Gallatin, there's a new bank going up right beside it. We're right across the street from the hospital, and so there's Stomping Grounds, which is in that one, and so that's their second location, and it's just an eclectic, wonderful space.
So you still own that building?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All
so
right.
I own the property. So I do commercial real estate investment and development as well. So have some wonderful businesses and tenants in that building, and then on the west side of Gallatin in our Greenlee building.
Yes. So we are at the same gym, and the gym is there, and Cave is there, and a wonderful pediatric unit is there. I mean, it's just a great It's a great center for Gallatin. Just a lot of great businesses
I
in one
agree.
place.
The desire for that was that it would be a family-oriented and a health-oriented development. And so a partner and I put in the fitness studio F45 on the right side end of that building. And you've got healthcare, there's law, there's a coffee shop, investment, there's an investment office there. So I feel like it's a good development.
Holistic, well-rounded,
Yeah,
everything you need. Yeah,
I think so.
Absolutely. Well, you've done a lot, and you have a reputation of just goodness, which is one of the reasons I asked you to be on here. And then Kim Baker also mentioned you when I was looking for possible guests. So tell me about how good work has made a difference, and serving others has made a difference in your life, in your business life specifically.
Yeah, well, I'll have to go back because there's a part of this, and I'll weave my faith into that because it's a big part of the story. And you'll see a theme through that. So when I had my businesses, one of the things that is unique about an independent pharmacy is if the owner works the business, they're the end of the line. They have the final say so. Many times they solve all the problems, and many times they have all the answers to all the questions. So there's a fair amount of ego stroking that goes on in that type of environment. And I kind of fell into that. And many times that type of experience can feed an ego and can well up in pride. And so for depending on the person, that can feather out in a number of different ways. But what I found was that in the process of growing, reading books, leadership content, consuming that, and then having what I call a council of advisors. I've got men that are 10, 15, 20 years older than me that are just further down the road and have done it. They know the potholes to not step into. And so you can learn from that. And so what I found was this rich investment of people and materials, podcasts, leadership podcasts, and things that help me see that you're not the smartest person in the room, as Andy Stanley says. He's one that I follow. You're just the leader. Mm-hmm. And your best lift is to get really, really great people that are much smarter than you on your team, equip them with the tools that they need, and then step back and continue to be the chief cheerleader of the organization. And so that's what I tried to do and believe we did over when I bought my partners out. Sam Rickman and Farrell Hill are both still Gallatin men, love them dearly and thankful for the opportunity they extended to me. But when I had bought them out of the business, really saw that need to be able to scale, to be able to bring in good people and pour into them and let them, be a little more of the coach on the sideline and let them be the quarterback.
I love that. Everyone wants to make money in a business, right? We also, at least
Absolutely.
The people that I want to work with and interview and talk to, they also have this heart for serving people, which can be hard to do both. So talk about in your experience, how do you do both?
Sure. So, if you set out just to make money, you can probably do that. This country affords us a lot of opportunity, but it'll be empty. It'll be empty. Building relationships and investing in people, you'll get both.
Yeah.
And so in the process of doing that, if you treat people well, it's like the golden rule, treat people the way that you would want to be treated, do to others what you'd have them do to you. We tried to embody that. We embodied that in the way that we served our customers, our patients. In the pharmacy business, it's this weird dynamic because you've got a retail customer that's a patient. And so we always struggled with, are they your patient? Are they a customer? They're both. There's somebody that's coming to you for a trusted friend for medical advice and care. And so investing in them and investing in your team will always reap rewards. But if your primary focus is the financial outcome, it's going to be cold. I was telling somebody recently in leadership, if you go after somebody for just what they can give you and go after their head, you pretty much never get their heart. But if you go after their heart, you always get their head.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's so true. So I think that you'll never do better as a leader than to invest in your people well, and then just equip them, serve them, and the financial benefits, will come. And, sometimes there's outside influences like we found within our industry that were just so powerful. They were not overcomable. We had a wonderful team in place at that time. But I don't dwell on the past. It's just, it helps paint what my story looks like. So with what I do now, it's got an aspect of executive coaching and peer advisory. So peer advisory is a room of, in our case, 12, a dozen Christian CEOs and owners. And they don't have to be from right here in Gallatin. We've got several that come from Nashville, one that comes from Bowling Green. But once a month we get together. And so I'm equipping and supporting with curated material, MBA level content every month that is just terrific, but it's digestible and you can take it back to their team and pour into your team. So again, it's that equipping others so that we can all, what all could we accomplish if we're not worried about who gets credit, right?
So I love that. So a good pour, we talk about just it's the pouring out, it's the overflowing to other people, which is what you just talked about. So I love that. So you clearly are very invested in leadership materials, leadership lessons. Do you have a favorite or two that you would like to share? So
a good friend of mine, Dr. Jason Tabor, down in Hendersonville, he's a dear friend, close friend, and Mary Beth. When we came, so we were in graduate school together in Memphis. So when he was in dental school, they were 1 year in front of me. Okay. So that was 20 plus years ago now. And when we moved back, we were in life group together at our church. And he said, hey, I'm going to have some guys over. We're going to do a study. And it was Andy Stanley content. And so what I found was it whet my appetite for that. And then I found, he's got this leadership content. It's phenomenal. And so that's been a regular appetite, if you will. And then Craig Rochelle, he's the senior pastor of Life Church. His leadership content is second to none. They're both phenomenal. Those are two of my main ones. There's others that I will pulse in, and there's obviously a host of books that are super valuable. And when I work with a client or coach a CEO or business owner, we'll go back to the basics. Have you read, Jim Collins' Good to Great? Have you read The E-Myth Revisited? My business coach trained under Michael Gerber. So I had this healthy diet of the entrepreneurial myth and understanding, like, being an entrepreneur and being a business owner are very, very different. And most people don't make that jump from technician to manager to entrepreneur, and understanding how you spend your time and invest your time and certainly invest in others. So.
You have 3 boys, right?
I do.
And a lovely wife.
I do.
How old are your boys?
So Barrett's 17, Bryson is 16, and Bauer is 14. Okay. So the 3 Bs.
Great names.
Yeah, thanks. I got to name the first 2, and my wife named the third.
Okay.
But Barrett will actually be 18. I'll have an 18-year-old, which is hard to believe. We pull through old pictures. We recently had built and moved, and found some pictures. And early on, I was working a lot of hours and weekends, and so many times my wife would bring the boys by, and so I've got pictures with my boys up on a stool looking out the drive-through window with their baseball uniforms on, and that was yesterday, right? And now they're driving, and so it's just my family is number 2 on my priority list. Christ is my Lord and Savior, and He's my primary, my first, and then my family is second. And I would even classify that as my wife A and my boys B, because she gets and deserves that position. And so I'm well supported by her. She homeschools our boys, has for 13 years. So
brave woman, hard worker.
She is. Yeah. She has a business degree in leadership, and she'll be the first to say that she's not qualified to do what she does. She leans on the Lord for it every day. And we've had a really rich experience in how we've been able to educate our boys and then the friend groups that they have chosen and sports that they play. So, yeah. He's
equipping her for sure then.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said about Andy Stanley. I feel like I'm using Andy Stanley a lot lately when we talk about, I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. And when you think about what the next 10 years like, it's a major difference, in their growth, and how our family will change. But I love Andy and Sandra often say they want kids that want to come home. We talk a lot about that, and Seth and I, my husband and I do, we want kids that want to come home. And what can we do now to shape that environment that they want to come back? Because kids don't always want to come back. They want to, So
there's one statement that he says that I love, is that we want our kids to be together when they no longer have to be together.
Yeah,
like that desire to build and foster those relationships, and we have that as well. We try to really focus on having as few regrets as possible as a family. I don't think we're ever going to get to the end of our life and say, I wish that we wouldn't have taken that trip together, or gone and done whatever. So experiences are big for us, but pouring in, and you've got these few years to shape these people, and it's I believe they're gifts from the Lord. And at that age, one of the things, so I love outdoors and camp and hiking and kayaking and those things we've really embraced and enjoyed as a family. And one area that we do that is at our church camp. Yeah. And so I've been a counselor for years at our church camp. And one of the things that I've told these high school guys that we've had through those experiences is, you're on the precipice of making some of the most critical decisions that are going to impact the trajectory of the rest of your life. Be really, really firmly grounded and rooted in your faith, in who you are, not trying to please other people, but being who God's created you to be. Because most people between the ages of 18 and 22 determine their college, their career, their vocation, where they're going to live, who they're going to marry. Those things are massively important. It's also the time when most people make some of the worst cataclysmic decisions that impact the rest of their life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great lesson. What is one thing that is helping you in business right now? One good thing that is just helping you be a better business, and really, since you're helping so many other business leaders, what is one good thing that is helping you?
Great. So one of the things before we got on, I mentioned that I know what I don't know, and so I've invited lots of people to speak in. So I've got what you might call a council of advisors, and so I've got men that have gone on. They're 10, 15 years in front of me and looking not necessarily in the rear view. Some of them are based on where they are in their career, but they've poured into me, and so that's been super valuable. And they help you see those potholes and pitfalls to not step into. So having those type of people in your life and letting them have the freedom to ask you tough questions is really critical. In this organization that I'm a part of now, in the C12 Group, and specifically this franchise in Middle Tennessee, there are 9 of us, and then 3 of those 9 are principal chairs or principal chairmen, and they own the practice. They are wonderful, wonderful businessmen, have lots of background in business, but have a heart for the Lord. And so to be in this role, honestly, I felt like I might be underqualified because a lot of these people have had years in business, and this is like a second career for them. But I think that the Lord gave me an opportunity at this point in my life because of these passions and feeling equipped for that. So having other people that can see those areas that you may not be able to see, that can pour into you, and knowing that you don't know it all. There's always more to grow into. So having those guys in place, and then a team around us to help lift the load. I mean, we're all kind of solopreneurs in our practices, but we've got a team of each other to lean on, to pray for one another, to encourage each other. One of the guys just lost his wife. It's really, really challenging. We were in training together. And so it's been really challenging, but we're doing life together. Yeah. And so I think when the train starts to jump off the tracks in your life, having people around you that love you and care for you, and if you've made those deposits in that relational currency of trust and care, that's a tremendous value.
Well, you have been making deposits for a long time in this community. You still are. I just appreciate everything you do, the good work you pour out to other people. And I know the Lord is going to multiply it and bless it. So thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. This is great.
Yeah. Thanks for all you do.
Mm-hmm.